What up, everybody? Welcome back to Small Couch Reviews. It's your boy Sam. I am on a vacation, and it's Joey's birthday. Happy birthday to him. I don't think either of us anticipated making a video this weekend, but I saw Alien Romulus, and I need to talk about it because I'd have to think about it, but it might be the best movie I've seen in theaters this year. Real talk. Hey everybody. Okay, so first off, let me apologize. Like I said, I'm on vacation and I don't really know what's going on in the units above me. But there's like this water sound, so I apologize for the audio. I'm gonna try to get through this quickly. Anyway, let's talk about my history with Alien first, because I didn't watch it traditionally. You might say the first movie I actually saw was the last one to come out, Covenant, and that was in theaters back in 2017, and I hated it. I did not like that movie at all. Even not having watched the other ones, I knew a little bit about the lore of the world of Alien, and that movie was just it was a badly made movie with a lot of just production issues and script issues. So then I kind of didn't care about it. Then we started this channel, and me and Jovi we've talked about we wanted to do like vintage movies. Didn't really work out, but I did end up watching the Alien films. I watched 1 through 4. I think, like most people, the first 2 stand out as the best to me. 3 I did not like, but I actually don't hate the fourth one, Resurrection. I think the idea of bringing Ripley back and how they did it was kind of stupid. But the actual movie itself, once it started, I thought it was actually okay. If you haven't watched it in a while, go back and watch it. Let me know what you think. Even though it doesn't rank up to the first 2, I think it was still pretty decent. So this one, all that to say, I thought this was just going to be a cash grab. I thought Romulus was a cash grab, just trying to cash in on the name of Alien, and I was so wrong. So the director apparently is a huge Alien fan, and Fede Alvarez is his name. He's directed movies I like. He directed Don't Breathe, which I think is fantastic. Not the first one, not the second one. And then the only Evil Dead I've watched, the one he made in 2010, the Evil Dead reboot that Fede Alvarez made. I actually enjoyed that movie too, for the most part. So that to say, a fan who is shown to be a competent director, yeah, that is a good recipe. So this movie takes place between 1 and 2, which is also another kind of I guess, a fear that I had, because if you remember in the second one, they said, "Oh, Ripley, ever since your encounter in the first, no one's ever seen this alien." Basically, they're like, "This thing you say you saw, no one's ever heard of it. No one in the galaxy's ever seen it. It doesn't exist. We don't believe you." Which leads me to believe, or led me to believe, that everyone in this movie just has to die, right? Like, there's no way that they encounter an alien, but in the second one, which takes place after this, they're like, "Oh, no one's ever heard of this," right? But I forgot a fundamental thing about human beings. People lie, right? They lie. So if you have that fear that this prequel isn't really going to matter in the grand scheme of things, like I did, dead that. Don't worry about it. Trust me, this movie will matter. This movie does matter. And the characters in it are characters you're going to want to get to know. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about what I'm going to say, and I realize I can't really talk about this movie without spoiling it. A lot of what happens is not shown in the trailer, like, at all. This movie goes in certain directions that weren't shown, and I don't want to ruin it. So I'm gonna be pretty like broad and try to talk at high level. Maybe I'll make a spoiler video about this, but just try to stick with me as I try to get the points out the way. So what I don't like, first off, there are only 6 characters in this movie, right? These characters, so that would let you think that, oh, every one of them is going to be important. Off jump, we realize only 5 of them actually end up being important. One of them you literally forget about until the end of the movie, and they're only there to be killed. So off break, that's it. But then really it's only 3, I guess maybe 4. Like, 3 of them have really, really good arcs, and one of them, you kind of learn a little bit more about. But then the other one, again, is just kind of there just to die. Something else that really bothered me though, the characters in this movie. are actually smart. Like they do things where you're like, yo, that's actually an ingenious way to get out of this situation. Or I would not have thought of that. I would have died in this situation. So you kind of come to appreciate that they're not just idiots, like in the first movies who are just, just doing things that don't make sense. Until one scene. There's one scene in this movie that it bothered me until after the credits rolled, where I'm just like, why did you do that? So, again, without spoiling anything, let's just imagine, right? Imagine there's a room, and this room, like, it will explode if a certain decibel level is reached. So it's a good idea not to make any noise or talk in this room, right? If you know that, wouldn't you go into the room and just not talk? You just wouldn't say anything. When you're in this room, you're silent. When you get out the room, then you can talk, chatter all you want. So if you get in this room and someone starts talking, wouldn't you scratch your head and be like, why would you do this in this room where talking doesn't make any sense at all, right? There's a scene like that in this movie where a character knows there are certain things you can't do, and in this room, like as they're going through it, they do it, and you're just like, bruh, like you all knew the rules when you entered this room. Why are you doing this? And it was a head scratcher because smart people doing dumb things is something that really it gets to me. So I think that that's really the only thing I actually truly disliked. But that one thing in a 2-hour movie, I can let that slide. So what I did like in this movie, let's talk about the characters. So when they aren't, if they're not weak, they're very strong. Ooh, what's that? Okay, sorry, but if they're not weak, they're very strong. Kaylee Spaney, her character, her name is Rain. Her and her brother Andy and the best friend Tyler, their arcs in this movie is spectacular, especially the brother and sister, Rain and Andy. Now Kaylee Spaney, I've known, she was excellent in that movie. Me and Jovi watched in Civil War, and she carries a lot of this movie on her shoulders, and she is up for the task, man. Her relationship with her brother, especially when, like, at the beginning when it's established, like how their dynamic works, is just it really is the heart of the film. It's one of those things where in moments, there are moments in these horror movies where someone always has to go back for someone that is dead. It's like, bruh, why are you doing this? You're just endangering yourself and endangering everyone else. In this one, I came to like these characters so much that all of them, to the point where it's like, you know what? Even if there's a 1% chance that they're alive, I'm not mad if you take that chance to go try to find them. And that's saying something, man. So it's one of those, like, like I said, there are certain characters you know that they're pretty much going to die. But I guess the 3 or 4 that, you get to know a little bit more about, you're really rooting for all of them through the end of the movie. It's a beautiful thing when they get through like situations that you just seemed hopeless. I was literally doing like mini like fist bumps. I was just cheering every single time. I was like, yes, we're almost out of here. Now, this movie is the closest to the first one in terms of tension and horror elements. As much as I liked two, that was more of an action movie to me. Um, Whereas the first one, was really horror and thriller. And this one has some of the most tense scenes in any movie. So basically this whole movie takes place on this station Romulus, which these kids in. Sorry, probably should have mentioned this. The whole reason they're on this space station, again, another thing I liked. They're not just like idiots like in the first one trying to harness power or understand something they shouldn't be messing with. They're literally here to get pieces of technology so that they can get to a better life. They come from a planet where they are just miners, and like as in they actually mine, not like they're young people, where they mine all day, which is very dangerous. Their parents died from it, and they want to escape and go to another planet where they can live peacefully. And in order to do this, they need a piece of technology from this space station called Romulus, which entered their orbit. So they only plan to go in and get out. Go in for 30 minutes, get what they need, and get out. Which is something else I really liked. But that means that they're stuck when things start to go down. They're stuck in this enclosed space, And that environment just is just prime for tension, man. There's an excellent scene that involves face huggers, right? And a little bit of lore breaking spoiler here if you didn't know, but because I didn't know. But face huggers are blind; they actually can't see. They detect you by sound and by heat signature, right? So what they do is there's this room where they raise the temperature of the room to be the exact body temperature of humans, 98.6 degrees. That way, the room and them are the same temperature. So they're essentially invisible to the face huggers as they're walking through. And all they have to do is make sure they don't make a sound. And when they're walking through that room, yo, like every single step feels like an eternity. They're constantly on the lookout. And I mean, there are like 50 or 60 face huggers in this room. So they're constantly on the lookout, constantly just making sure, like, okay, was this step loud enough? Was this step loud enough? It's excellent. It was bone chilling and I was on the edge of my seat. The xenomorph itself, it's lurking in the shadows when it finally does come because it's not there the whole time, which again, I appreciate. I can't say it enough. I don't like the idea of the boogeyman chasing you. That's not really something I'm into. It's more atmospheric, which is why whenever I talk about horror movies, I praise a movie like The First Quiet Place, where it's not really about the monsters. It's about the idea that if I make a sound in this world, my world ends. And this one is the same way. It's like we have to be so careful because this xenomorph, it's hiding in the shadows. If I make the wrong turn, if I do the wrong thing, it will find me. It's hunting me, and it's like it wants me for whatever reason, and it's so good. It's so good. It's much better than all the other movies after the first Alien because it really just it doesn't feel like you can just mow these things down and they're just coming after you and when you slip up they're gonna kill you. It feels like this is a calculated killer and it wants to make sure that it gets you at the right time at the right moment and you always have to have your guard up. So I dug that. Now, not to say that there's not action. And the action moments in this movie, they are cheer worthy. Like my theater cheered at some of the moments. One in particular involving like a bit of a firefight. So pretty dope. Pretty dope. And something else I loved, and the last thing I'm going to talk about, this movie, similar to the first movie again, it doesn't really end where you think it's going to end. Like, something, it wraps up, you think everyone's safe. You're like, yes, we're good. And then you're like, oh, no, we might not be as safe as we think we are. And the movie doesn't end and it continues for like another 20 minutes. And I personally love that. I loved it. I got to spend more time with the characters. And, the stakes were raised to a point that you didn't see them really going to. And trust me, the ending of this movie, like nobody sees coming. So I thought that was cool. Some people might be turned off by that. I'm someone I'm like, yo, like you had an ending and then you continue to go with the movie, just wasting runtime. But in this one, I appreciated it. And maybe that's why I appreciated this movie so much because it was not only just such a surprise at how good it was such a surprise at how much it made me like things that I would normally not like. Hey, but that's it, man. Yeah, Alien Romulus, total surprise. I watched this in theaters. I would recommend you going to the theaters and seeing it. I'm probably going to see it again, try to get Jovi when I get back, and we'll go watch it. And yeah, man, 4.5 out of 5 for me. I thought this movie was excellent. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about it when you see it. Let me know if you think it ranks right after the first Alien like me, or if you think I'm being, too generous with it. All right. Appreciate you guys. Till next time, I'm out.